Brothers and sisters in Christ, forgive me for the poor audio as I'm having some microphone issues on my setup. But today in the Gospel, we hear readings that, if you are a junkie of the liturgical cycle, take you right to Ash Wednesday. The exhortation by Jesus when it comes to the manner of our prayer, our fasting, our almsgiving is straight out of Ash Wednesday each year. But it's an exhortation for us not to do any of these things for acclaim or recognition from others, but to do them in secret for the only person for whom we ever need to truly perform, which is God. And so this is, of course, wonderful advice, but when we hold it up to the light of the first reading, we hear from Paul even more of an exhortation about the nature of our generosity. And that is that Paul, like Jesus, uses the image of sowing, except he talks about the Father as the one giving us the seed to sow. So he tells us that the more we see, the more we sow, the more we reap. Now, if we just stay at a superficial look at this, that can lead one to the error of Pelagianism, to just assume, well, the harder you try, the better you'll do. In terms of grace, we need to try harder and we'll be more blessed. Well, that's not the correct reading. However, to say that God will supply more seed to the one who sows more abundantly, that begins to shine more of a light on what the heart of this is, which is that we tend sometimes to be stingy in our generosity. We fear that there's not enough to go around. And this can apply whether it's in terms of like our charitable financial giving, whether it's in terms of my time, how much I give to something. There's not enough for me to go around. I don't have enough energy, enough strength, enough concentration, my gifts, whatever it may be. We may hesitate to be generous because we're worried that there's not enough, that it'll be exhausted. And this reading is a way of telling us that God always rewards the one who is generous. That when we are generous with what God has first given us, that he gives more seed to sow. So if we sow in great abundance, God will supply with more seed. Said differently, we need not fear to run out. And I realize, but for those of you who know that our parish launched our capital campaign this week, and if you think this is just a subtle way of prompting more giving to a capital campaign, yes, be bold in your giving, then you're absolutely correct. Just kidding. This is always about more than just giving with our money. In fact, and that is an important aspect of it, the fact that we've been blessed and the more that we give, God will supply for our needs. But sometimes I think the biggest place this applies is of our allowing ourselves to be stretched in serving others. And I know I've experienced in my own life times where I feel overwhelmed, greatly stressed, there's too much going on, and there can be a mentality to retreat, to kind of cut everything out except that which is most essential, like survive the day, survive the week, whatever it is, just to do what I absolutely have to, and I'm sorry I don't have time for these other things, other people. And sometimes we'll find that no matter how much we try to retreat, actually we feel more and more drained. And what actually breaks the cycle is a completely gratuitous act of generosity, which is I don't have time, and yet I'm going to make time for this person or to do this thing. Or I'm going to give of something where I didn't know I had anything left to give. And sometimes when that happens, it becomes a very graced moment, just in the light of what we hear in the first reading, that God will supply more seed to the one who trusts him. And so that is really what is at the heart of the readings today, to be generous and ultimately to trust in God. Everything we have comes from him, and he has given to us to sow so that the harvest may be ripe. And so we're asked to put our trust in him, to give of ourselves freely and abundantly, and to know that God will return to us 100-fold.